Today we're going to be reviewing the airsoft version of Kalashnikov's brainchild, the AK-47. What is up, guys? This is Chris with Frozen Soldier Airsoft, and today we're going to be reviewing the CM.042, otherwise known as the full metal and real wood AK-47. So the first thing I want to say just before we start off, my hands might be a little bit dirty. That's because I was taking on a new gas blowback that I got. So you'll see that review sometime in the near future. So that's pretty cool. Anyhow, with that self-promotion out of the way, let's get on to the review. So this weapon here was provided graciously by my friend Ian Wilson. The only problem though is that since he bought this way back when, he doesn't have the box for it. He has the stuff that was in the box, obviously, but he just kind of chucked the box out, so we're just going to start with the AK-47 itself. So anyhow, the things that come in the box are, obviously, the AK, and now if you buy this off of evike.com, for whatever reason there's a hit or miss that you could have a chance of having not one AK-47 600 round high capacity magazine, you could have two. I don't know if that's for every website. Some people say they get two mags with the gun, some people say they don't, but that's just one thing to be aware of. So anyhow, the next thing that you're going to notice in the box when you open it up is a pretty horrible 1100 milliamp 8.4 volt battery. This battery is so-so, it's okay, it works in the gun, it runs probably for about an hour before it dies. I would strongly recommend getting a 9.6 volt 1600 milliamp battery. It fits in this stock and this gun so much better, and it just works a million times more efficiently. So the next thing that the gun comes with in the box is a pretty horrible wall charger. Throw this out, get a smart charger. Like I always say, it'll save you tons of grief. Trust me, get a smart charger. And now you may be wondering where the manual is. He actually threw out the manual because it literally was so poorly written because it's from Cyma. Cyma's a China-based company, and everything is so Chinglish filled and you can't read it. You have to have someone decipher the language for you that's already been deciphered. It's just bad. There's nothing in the manual whatsoever, so you can just throw it out, hold on to it, do whatever you want. And finally, the gun itself. So as usual, starting from front to rear, I'm going to name off all the parts that are made out of metal. Now this makes my job a million times easier, because everything that you see here is wood, so that would be the pistol grip, the foregrip, and the stock. Obviously, is it made out of metal? It's made out of real wood, but I'll get to that a little bit later. And obviously, the plastic orange tip. Everything else on this rifle, and I literally mean everything, is made out of metal. So being that this gun is only $170, that just blows me out of the water. And it's not cheapy pot metal like Cyma likes to dish out left and right. It's actually some parts stamped steel. Now the only part on this gun that isn't stamped steel is the bolt. You can obviously tell the bolt is a different color. That doesn't mean they painted it on there. It's actually made out of aluminum and is basically covered with a clear coat. So like I stated previously, the furniture on the rest of the rifle, everything that looks like wood is wood. Now the wood itself isn't the greatest coming from China. It is pretty ugly, but this stuff I know for a fact, and my friend was thinking of doing it quite a while back. I don't know if he's decided quite yet, but you can sand all the wood down and stain it whatever you like, so you can make this thing look really awesome. Anyhow, with the build quality out of the way, let's go over the gun's external features. So starting from the front of the rifle, you're going to notice that is a standard AK-47 style sight. This sight is only adjustable for windage, and you're going to have to use an AK style front sight adjustment tool. It doesn't, unfortunately, it does not come in the box, but you can use a pair of pliers, so don't freak out. So anyhow, moving to the right, you're going to notice that is a standard AK-47 style leaf sight. This leaf sight isn't the greatest. It is only adjustable for elevation like so, but it does have pretty nice engraved numbers, and I really wouldn't worry about the sight breaking off. So anyhow, moving a little bit more to the right, you're going to notice that the gun has a fully functional charging handle. Pulling the charging handle back like so will reveal your AK-style hop-up unit. This hop-up unit was pretty darn effective. You can upgrade it if you so desire, but it's perfect out of the box. Moving further to the right, you're going to notice that is a standard AK-47 style selector switch. The three positions on the selector switch are, on the top being safety, in the middle being fully automatic, and all the way at the bottom towards the magazine being semi-auto. So the next thing that you're going to notice is that it comes with a steel 600 round high capacity magazine. This magazine was so-so. It likes to feed sometimes and doesn't like to feed others, so I definitely would recommend getting a bunch of mid-caps. Flipping the rifle over like so and looking to the right side of the weapon, you'll notice that it has two sling mount points. one sling mount point being located here, and it is made out of steel, so it's pretty durable, and one being on the front of the gas block, which is very durable as well. So one thing you've probably already noticed right now is that there is no notch for an AK-style scope mount. Now this is unfortunate, but it stays true to the real AK-47. Now as the name states, AK being Auto Kalashnikov and 47 being the year that it was made, states that it was made in 1947, no kidding. But obviously, back in the 40s, there was no standard Picatinny rail or optics or anything of that matter unless you were, using a scout rifle, so on and so forth. So it definitely stays true if you're looking for a true AK-47. So anyhow, with that out of the way, let's go over the gun's internal features. So moving to the charging handle like previous, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. The gun has an electronic blowback system. Now, it's not pneumatic, it is mechanical, so it will definitely wear on your gearbox, but there is a spring inside the gun that you can remove. If you guys so desire, I can post a video on how to do that. I'm not going to do it in the review because it is a bit of a pain in the butt, but it is a cool feature that they add a mechanical blowback. So anyhow, with the blowback out of the way, let's go over the gun's gearbox. It is a standard version 3 CYMA gearbox. It's not the greatest, but this gun is pushing a pretty hefty 390 to 400 feet per second, which is awesome for a $175 stock gun. This thing outperforms $200, $300 guns I've seen. So when everybody says CYMA AKs are the best, they really mean CYMA AKs are the best. One thing I'd like to mention real quick is that in the gearbox, the gun comes stock with an M110 spring. That is pretty cool. Once again, CYMA AKs, you're the bomb, man. One quick thing I'd like to mention before we go over the battery space is the barrel length. The barrel length is 455 millimeters, so basically if it says AK-47 written on the Type bore barrel, whatever barrel you want to get, it's going to fit in here super easily. Now the battery is located in the full stock. There is plenty of room for a battery in the stock, so that's one thing you don't have to worry about, but my biggest gripe is that you have to remove two screws in order to access the battery compartment. So once you've taken your Phillips screwdriver and removed the back butt plate by unscrewing the two screws, you're going to notice that it has a small Type Tamiya connector, like so. Now, one thing you might notice is that there's this black electrical tape, mob, kind of, whatever you want to call it. It does come standard with a fuse. I removed the fuse for Ian because it opens up so much more battery space inside the gun. Now, since this gun is shooting between 390 to 400 feet per second, I would strongly recommend that you take this outdoors, because shooting people 50 feet away with a gun that's shooting at 400 feet per second is not being particularly nice. However, you can bring this gun into a CQB environment if you install a lower FPS spring. I don't particularly know why you would, because this is a full-length rifle, but if you want to take your AK in a CQB, knock yourself out, just make sure it's under that 350 feet per second FPS limit. So with that being said, that just about wraps up the review of the CYMA CM.042 full metal, full wood AK-47. If you guys enjoyed the review, slap that like button, and as always, please subscribe.